Welcome to the Master Cars Pro channel. Today we talk about the problems and weaknesses of this wonderful car. We are starting with the power units as usual. In the timing drive, all motors have a metal chain that had to be changed in the first 50,000 kilometers of cars produced before 2010 due to strong stretching. In more recent versions, the chain can last up to 120,000 kilometers, but its tensioner can fail. Another of the mass problems is a tendency to caulking of the intake, throttle valve and piston group, which leads to valve hanging and an increase in oil consumption. It is worth noting that even a slight decrease in the level of lubricant in the engine negatively affects the resource of the timing drive, the operability of the variable valve timing system, and the state of the engine as a whole. In order to avoid the problems, it is recommended to use only original oil, as well as to decarbonize and clean the intake manifold at least once every 80,000 kilometers. Other disadvantages include a modest resource of engine mounts, catalyst, resource up to 100–150,000 kilometers, ignition models, a second lambda probe and a temperature sensor. Separately, it is worth highlighting the generator, in which, due to an unsuccessful vacations, brushes in bearings quickly wear out. In cars with turbo engines, the injection pump adds a head edge, the replacement of which will cost about $100,000. Accelerates pump whereby regular use of low-quality fuel with a small amount of lubricating additives. A pump malfunction manifests itself as problems with starting a cold engine and sluggish acceleration. The resource of the piston group of atmospheric units, with proper maintenance and elimination of problem areas, will be about 300,000 km, for turbocharged ones 200 and 250,000 km. Most of all in a diesel engine. The timing chain serves no more than 100,000 km, and fuel equipment, injectors and high-pressure fuel pumps buffers. Of the most significant problems, the unreliability of the swirl flaps in the intake manifold and the crankshaft damper is noted. Like gasoline engines, there are complaints about the performance of the cooling system. All valve in this engine, working at high temperatures, leads to crack between the cylinders. For this model, only two types of transmissions were available: a 6-speed Getrag 285 mechanics, as well as Aisin TF61SN and TF-60SN, automatic transmissions with the same numbers of gears. Mechanics with timely maintenance can do without repairs up to 200,000 km. After that, synchronizer become unusable. Of the weak points, it is worth highlighting the dual mass flywheel. It needs to be replaced after 100,000 km. Another disadvantage of the box can be attributed to the not very successful gear selection mechanism, due to which, closer to 150,000 km, the thermal clarity when switching is reduced. The trouble-free operation of automatic transmissions depends on the purity of the lubricant and the temperature conditions of operations. Since instead of full-fledged cooling system, a heat exchanger is used here, which eventually clogs up and ceases to cope with the gearbox cooling. The operating temperature in the box can reach 220 degrees, which reduces its resource. The situation aggravated by the long oil change interval prescribed by the regulations. As a result, after 100–150,000 km, the transmission needs repair. The service life of the automatic transmission can be extended by periodically replacing the heat exchanger and changing the lubricant frequently. As for the suspension, in this generation, in order to replace the stabilizer bushings, it is necessary to remove the subframe, which significantly increased the cost of replacing the consumable, resource 30–50,000 km. In addition to the struts and stabilizer bushings, the weak points of the suspension include wheel bearings, ball bearings, and silent blocks of levers. Shock absorbers under moderate loads are delivered after 100–120,000 km. The rear axle is able to do without significant investment up to 80–100,000 km of run. The steering is equipped with an electric-powered steering rack from the Japanese manufacturer Getrag. The mechanism as well can be called successful, but some fans blame the jack of effort on the steering wheel. When using standard discs, the rail begins to knock on a mileage of 120–150,000 km. But at the same time, traces of smudges do not appear until 200,000 km, which is a good indicator. The body is covered with a high quality paint and varnish coating, which resists chips and scratches well. But miracles do not happen, and minor damage does appear only over time. The first part of the body is covered with chips. There are no significant complaints about the corrosion resistance of the external body panels. If the elimination of chips was not delayed, there should be no problems. For the interior decoration, high-quality wear-resistant finishing materials were used, which, even after many years of operation, do not give out the age of the car. The problem areas can only be written down with decorative seals and a block of buttons on the steering wheel. The presence of a hatch in the car obliges the opening/closing mechanism to be periodically searched. Otherwise, at one point, it may jam in one of the positions. If during the operation the hatch has never been searched, it is no longer worth doing this, since the ingress of grease on the worn gears leads to their slipping. Electrical equipment is more problematic. Most of all, breakdowns bother the climate system, in which after 100,000 km the flow distribution dampers hang, and closer to 150,000 km the stove motor starts to make noise. Well, if you are the owner of this car, then please describe the problems that you had to face during the operation of the car. Perhaps it is your feedback what will help viewers when choosing the car. I'm done. Thank you all very much for your attention. I'm very grateful to you if you subscribe to the channel and leave a comment. See you soon!